the surgeon sent me in for a MIR, okay, a scan or whatever they're called. And they scanned my whole entire body. And I remember I was going to go in and have surgery on my knee and my hip. I remember that walking into the doctor's office, the head nurse comes out, sits down next to me in the chair. And she goes, "When did you get that metal in your back? What happened to you? How did you get it?" And I go, "What metal in my back?" And she said, "Well, it shows you have a piece of metal embedded next to your spinal cord." Now, I'm freaking out. I'm going, well, I got hurt in the Army down below, never up there. There was no scars on my back at all, no injury marks. So I go in to see the doctor. He comes out and he goes, I've never seen this before. You got a piece of metal. I can't remember how big it was. And he says it's right next to your spinal cord. And, and he said it could cause you problems when you get older or if you injure yourself. And I said, "What type of problems?" He said, "You could be in a wheelchair the rest of your life." I kind of blew it off at the start, but I did ask the doctor. I said, "Hey, can you remove it?" And he goes, "No, I can't remove it because scar tissue is formed around it. And if I go in there, it's a good chance, again, you'll be in the wheelchair the rest of your life. You'll never be able to walk or anything." It freaked me out for a little while, but then I forgot about it. Okay? And then, I was interviewing this one guy on my show, because he had a weird place of an implant that he wasn't aware of, that when he did an MIR, it showed up. And I started thinking about every month for a year, I would set off the alarms at the courthouse. And then I remember when I used to go flying, on different airlines, I would set off the alarm and I would have to go into a special room because they thought, he has some type of, weapon or something on him. So they had to make sure. It never hit me till after I had that gas on. And then I started realizing, well, when they did the body scan, something showed up. The doctor talking to me about a piece of metal. Again, there was no scar, sign of any injury. For the size of the piece, it would have been a scar, the doctor said. There's no scar. Okay? And I never thought anything of it. And it makes me wonder sometimes in that desert, when I saw that light, and I got out of that car, to me, what seemed like a matter of a couple seconds, who knows how long it was.
Oh, my God, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned this because I remember that show. It was, I don't know, a year ago, whenever it was, but it kind of hit me. I was like, oh, my goodness, because from everything you've said, I'm thinking you could have had missing time there. They could have put an implant in you. I mean, you've got all the scenarios and all the facts are kind of lining up. It might, but you've got to cross that line because once you go to regression and learn stuff, you can never go back or unhear or unsee that thing. And that's a cusp that a lot of people come to, a fork in the road, so to speak. And that's a tough bridge to cross sometimes.
I don't think I would want to go for regression at this point in my life because, we're talking, I was young when that happened. Okay? I'm now old. Okay, I make a point now. I don't go in where I'm going to get, have to get checked for, for security procedures where I'm going to set alarm off anymore. I know it does it. What makes me think if I would go for regression, I don't want to know what happened. Okay, I don't. I have suspicions something might have happened. I didn't till after I had that guess on, but I don't want to know. I'm one of these people I really don't want to know because I don't think I could do a talk show and interview people about UFOs and abductions and all that stuff if I found out I did have an implant or I don't have an implant. All I know is the surgeon found it very strange why I would have a cylinder piece of metal embedded next to my spinal cord like that. Couldn't figure out why with no trace of any puncture wound that be in there.
Oh, I know. And again, it brings back the scenario that I talk about. If you do find all that stuff out, and here you are doing talk shows every night, 3 hours a night, and you're being reminded and triggered of all these things, and it can be very mentally challenging. I'm serious. A question I got for you, Gary, try to reflect back in the last 40 years. Is there any time that maybe you had some other missing time, maybe, of anything weird?
Yeah, I have had a couple cases, okay? Again, I'm very punctual. I'm never late on anything. My wife is the one that's always late, okay? I am always early. But there has been times I'd be, like, coming home. This is going back, 2002, 2003. I'd be coming home from work, okay? And I'd be driving. And then I'd find myself not getting off the freeway and being 15 miles farther down the road for no reason and not remembering. The last I remember, I was going off the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. I didn't take the third exit. I was then up, past Bremerton, past Silverdale, which is about, 15, 20 miles away, and not even realizing I went that far. Or there's been a couple times where I took my daughter to work at the local hospital, okay? And I'm coming home, and I lived here for 20 years. I know my way. I don't have Alzheimer's. I don't think. If I did, I don't think I could do the show. I'd be coming home, and I'd find myself 5 miles away on a street. I don't even know why I'm there. And then I have to turn around and go home, and I'm saying to myself, wow, why did I go past where I live and just keep on driving? It didn't make any logical sense.
Yeah, you know what? I totally get what you're saying. And I bet if you think, because a 40-year period, man, that's a lot of time. They're probably, and if it's just a 15-minute or a half-hour time frame, a few times over a 40-year period, you might not even remember it anymore. But I bet there is some that you can line them up, and you got to come. These decisions you got to come yourself, and maybe I agree with you. Maybe you don't want to hear these things, and just let it go.
Well, I don't, because I hear these other people that, have implants or claim they have implants. Their lives have not been the most rosy. You know that.
Absolutely.
And they've had a lot of setbacks in life. And the thoughts of, them remembering their each and every abduction, that I don't want to know anything. And that would scare, like we were talking about before, could you imagine that you are an individual for some reason that they are abducting you whenever, and you've been, say, from 13 years old to 60 years or 50 or 40, whatever you are, you've been abducted a dozen or so times. I would think that would play in your mind emotionally, where it could actually change everything in your outlook of life, what you could have been, what you are, because it would have to do severe damage to you emotionally.
Absolutely. And the younger you are when it starts in that, you can remember it molds and does affect your life. And you touched on something just a little bit ago. You had all these injuries, physical scars. Those are nothing to get over. Those are easier to get over with. But mental scars, they stay with you forever. That's the toughest thing to get over. And we touched on it. And these things, it's horrible. It just is.
And a lot of people that I've talked to who have been abducted, they're in denial, okay? They're really in denial. They have things going on in their lives, and a lot of them, just try to deny what's going on. And I guess they have to, because they're having to go day by day living with what they know, what's going on. Again, I can't understand why. I would think if people have been being abducted the last 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, or 1,000 years, why would they abduct people on a regular basis and do it over? And I think, wouldn't they have all the information 100 years ago or 1,000 or 2,000 years ago about humans? Why would they keep doing it? It tells me there's some other agenda out there, why they're still abducting people. Okay, yeah, I think they would know how our brain, our body, and everything functions from a long time ago. They would have all that information. Why would they need to do it? That's like, if you already know what the facts are, why do you have to keep doing it over and over? There has to be some reason why.
I absolutely agree with you on that, and that's why I kind of brought up that one theory. Maybe it's because they don't have souls and they can't make them, and they're trying to harness that, something they maybe can't never do. It could be a whole plethora of reasons that God only knows. And again, maybe it's the junk DNA that they're tinkering with over, the long game. To them, it could be thousands of years compared to 1 year of us. Who knows? It gets complicated, but they've got agendas, and it's for them, not us.
Well, just think about this. A lot of these UFOs have been sighted, right? Coming out of oceans, out of lakes, following naval ships underwater, tailing them, okay? It tells me that they are at home more underwater than they are on land. Because how many times have UFOs been sighted on land? But how many times have they been sighted coming out of the ocean? A lot of times, being seen in the ocean, hardly actually being on land. It makes me wonder, do maybe an alien race that we're seeing, UFOs coming out of the water, maybe that's their planet, maybe that's what they have to survive in the water. Maybe they have to be in the water, and that's how they survive. Maybe they have gills. Who knows? But it makes me wonder about that. And then we have Antarctica. Like I said so many times, it's breaking up and thawing out faster and faster, way more than the scientists predicted. And if you read the news every day, unless you believe it's fake news, that it's speeding up even more every day. The reports of it. Maybe the agenda is that one day the Earth will be pretty much underwater.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that at all. There's all kind of theories about that going on. Speaking of Antarctica, look at all the stuff within the last year alone of secret bases there and a big hole there where UFO can fly in and out, and magnetic anomalies that are just unexplainable. So, yeah, there's something going on there, and I agree with you.
I don't know. I'm just a talk show host. So all I can do is, I have my theories from listening to other people with their theories and reading and going on the internet and doing this since 1976. Nothing about UFOs to me makes any logical sense, to be honest with you. I don't think that these UFOs, or at least the majority of them, are ours. I just don't feel that. I feel that they are from out there. And maybe there is dozens and dozens of different, whatever, coming and finding Earth. But you know what? We've been here for a long time. So I don't buy that. I think something is up. Okay, and maybe now the more reports of UFOs than ever, right? And more claims of abductions more than ever. And then when you hear about, like, our Earth is going to be pretty much done with by 2050 at this rate, maybe that's what they're just sitting and waiting for. Because time, like we talked about, our hour could be, who knows for them. Okay, so 40 years to us could be 40 minutes to them. So they're maybe just sitting there waiting.
Absolutely, because here's the thing. They are obviously, the UFOs is a time machine and an interdimensional vehicle. And these beings can do these things. So if just that fact alone says that they can be here today and come back 1,000 years from now and not age maybe a minute or a year or whatever it is. You see where I'm going with this? So if you have that kind of technology, there's nothing you pretty much can't do or manipulate or control.
You're right. Our time is almost up now. On Monday, we got Tim Swartz on, and you know what he's going to be talking about, right?
I'm going to say probably Area 51.
No. Remember Lieutenant Colonel Purcell? Yes. We're going to be talking all about his life, what he did during the war, and how he got connected with UFOs and dispersing, technology out to industry about UFOs, to reproduce whatever technology they had. And then that's on Monday. Then on Tuesday, Calvin Parker is going to be on for an hour and a half. And we're going to be talking about, well, his new book is going to be coming